Hello, my name's Shane McElhenney and you're watching the LARNE project.
What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome back to episode 18 of the LARNE project here in Football Manager 2019. Hopefully you guys are good. Today, a big game for us. It's against Ballymena. It's the Cup semi-final. If you missed last episode, it was a longer episode, a double-header special. Obviously, if you missed it for whatever reason, go check it out. Two massive games, including the unbeaten team, Glenavon, who were top of the league at the time of playing them. So that was a big game for us. Obviously, in that video, I talked about the fact that since this episode is just immediately following on from the previous two games, I wanted some questions and some talking points from you guys down in the comments. I thought, well, let's go through some of those comments and see what you guys had to say and see what questions you had. So one of the first questions I actually had was from Famous Stranger. He wanted to know about what manager points I use and how old I make my manager. I actually just put my manager to my own year of birth. I don't bother with the actual months because it's just a bit... I'm not that bothered about the detail, but it's always been something that I've done in FM for about the last 5 or 6 years since I've been old enough. Of course, if you're a younger player, I can understand the hardships of not being able to select your own age in FM because that is a thing. Really, Football Manager management age doesn't matter so much. The big thing really is the fact that if you're over the age of 35, you can have a son in game. If you don't know, during every youth intake, there is like a very small chance of a child who is related to you coming through the ranks of the side. Who knows, maybe down the line we can get a son here at LARNE. That would be pretty cool, but I feel like that is a little way off yet. And the other question that Famous Stranger had was basically, to do with manager points and how I use them. So in terms of how I use them, I always just set my reputation and past playing experience to match the club that I'm managing. And when it comes to them, well, you can see here, I've gone with reasonable level of discipline and fitness coaching I went for here, just because fitness coaching is something that doesn't require as much in the way of other coaching attributes. So if you're a lower kind of quality coach, it's probably the best one. Although if I was going to be playing at a slightly bigger club, I'd always try and max out one coaching area. So if I was going to be an attacking tactical coach, I'd do attacking and tactical. Obviously, if I was wanted to be a shooting coach, I'd do attacking and technical, just to try and, give me one good area of specialty in my coaching. Of course, if you're a lower league side, being kind of a little broader with your coaching spectrum might be slightly more useful. The other thing the Famous Stranger asked actually was, is it good to personalise player instructions in the tactics screen? Obviously, I talked about last episode, I've started a new tactic. I say new, it's something that we used last year. Right now, I've not got any player personalisation on. I actually find in general that individual player instructions, at least last year in FM, just didn't do that much for me. They can certainly be used to fine-tune a system, but the roles themselves are pretty well refined now. You kind of have to think of each role as having its own player instructions kind of baked into it. So adding a load more instructions can sometimes overcomplicate things. I guess the one of note would be maybe in midfielders who don't have the best shooting, just to tell them to shoot less often. That's something that I would fairly frequently do. It's something that I actually feel like I should get better at doing, more kind of personalised player instructions. You can see for today's game, I'm tweaking the system just slightly. With O'Connor being out, I need an alternative, so we're going to go with Brad Lyons, but he doesn't really play complete forward well enough, so we're going to train him as a deep line forward, I think. And it's the role he's going to play for us. I mean, you can see here, looking at his actual attributes, he's reasonably well suited to the role. Good passing, good vision, good work rate. Not the craziest physicals in terms of strength and balance, and his first touch could be a little bit better, but he kind of makes it work. So yeah, maybe that's something that I do need to look at a little bit more in my own game. But for me personally, I don't ever feel like I'm at a massive disadvantage not using individual player instructions. Given the high turnover of players, how unsettled my starting 11's been, it's not really been just yet. There hasn't really felt like a situation where it's like, right, I need to tailor all my tactics specifically for the players I've got, because it's kind of very broad rotation, I guess, for the most part. But yeah, I do think it's something I could get better at. But at the same time, I don't feel like it's entirely necessary, which was kind of your question. So I hope that helps a little bit. Spreadsheet God left some kind of options for advice with the system, which I thought was quite interesting. I do appreciate it. It was a really long comment talking about a few different things. So one of the things he said was about putting the advanced playmaker on the right and the defensive midfielder on the right, which on the face of it would make quite a lot of sense. I say that because I'm not going to change it just yet. But the reason I like to overload this left side, or at least it looks like I'm overloading this left side, is because the complete forward will drop really deep in the early phases of play to almost be a midfielder who occupies this right space. And because they're a complete forward, they're very likely, at least when it is a complete forward, to roam from this position. So they will sit in the wider areas of space, they will sit in the narrower areas of space. I do also have be more expressive on when we have possession. So you'll see players float around and be quite fluid in their play. Although O'Donnell is offset to the left, he will look to drift inside to the right and create space. And again, another bit of feedback was basically maybe put the wing back on attack, the winger on attack to create a front three. This really isn't a front three. That's not really the way of looking at it. It's a front one with a deep line forward or complete forward who's going to drop, a lot deeper in the play. A deep line forward is going to drop deeper in the later stages of play, whereas a complete forward will drop deeper sooner, to really offer an out ball when we're out of possession. So, I'm not going to change that just yet. I do obviously appreciate the feedback. I'm sure we will be tweaking the system as we go on. I'm going to experiment, I think, with Romario Vieira as a box-to-box midfielder rather than a Mazzala. I think that the tactic is open to tweaking. It was a few kind of little bits of feedback that were left individually. But at the same time, I don't want to change anything too soon just yet. This system worked very well last year in FM, so I don't feel like the tactic itself is flawed in its premise. I feel like, as I said, we need to tweak it for slightly different players. We don't have the same technical quality that we had at Sochaux last year. But the system itself, I don't think, needs radical changes just yet, but I do appreciate the feedback. Another thing that someone asked was if anything interesting had happened in the way of transfers in the save game. Obviously, it's something I don't really talk about so much, episode to episode, what's going on in the wider world. It's probably worth noting that, as I try and struggle to find the world screen, here it is. It's probably worth noting that I've only got the UK leagues loaded, so I've only got England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, and also the Republic of Ireland as well. So there aren't like a load of interesting transfers going on. You're not going to see transfers all across Europe as frequently. But in terms of the leading transfers so far, you can see the big ones here. Antipti has gone to Liverpool. Savic has gone to Manchester United. Inke Williams has gone to Bayern. There's probably some more interesting ones here that you can scroll through and spot yourself. Wilfried Zaha, 60 million. He's gone to Manchester City. That's a pretty huge one, I guess. But yeah, there's some transfers here. If there's any that stand out to you as being particularly cool, let me know. Edin Dzeko going from United to Real Madrid seems like a particularly odd one. How much did United sign him for in the first place? So United signed him for 33 million. He played a handful of games and then they sold him on the next year to Madrid. Oh dear, Dzeko, what has happened to you? He's only played 4 games this season as well, so it's not going so great for him. Anyway, I'm just going to see what other comments we got. There were a few different ones. Okay, this is a good one. Vagoon asked, I'd like to know what stats you look for in certain positions. You often mention the Holy Trinity for centre defenders, but you also mentioned passing and first touch today. So to address that, in terms of the Holy Trinity, if you missed last episode or weren't paying attention, I look at heading, marking and tackling as the 3 most important things. The reason I like to have first touch and passing is simply because I like to have players who are reasonably good at their ball playing ability. And so I do put high value in their first touch and passing, and also their composure on the ball I feel like can be quite important if you are building towards a passing system. Right now, I'm not able to necessarily play the most passing of systems. I'm not playing with ball playing defenders just yet. Longer term, it's something I would like to do. But in terms of when it comes to the defenders, especially centre-backs, they're the 3 things I look for. I very much put a high stake in aerial ability as something that I really, really want to have in, as much quality as possible in the centre defender department. I feel like it's very, very important, as I feel like height can be quite important when it comes to goalkeepers. And Vagoon also asked, I'd like to know what personal instructions you give each player. I've already talked about that. So when it comes to stats in certain positions, which I guess was something that I've not talked about yet, I always look at just relative to the role. There's certain things I look for more importantly in certain areas. So for example, in my advanced playmaker, I'm always looking at vision and passing. Flair, I'm not as bothered about. As much as being I guess, creative and unpredictable is good. I want them to be able to see the passes and execute them more than most. I feel like at this level particularly, having really high flair can sometimes be at a player's detriment because they want to do these creative, kind of crazy ideas, but they don't have the talent to execute them. In general, I guess I very much put high value in the attributes for specific roles. So, for example, if we look at Glatzel here as a poacher, he is suited to a poacher, and I'll always look at these. Obviously, there's slightly different shadings here. The darker ones are, I believe, they are more important for the role. So, for example, finishing, composure, anticipation, and off the ball, the three most important things for a poacher. And then the backup attributes you can see highlighted. And I put high stake in this. A good example, I guess, would be O'Connor playing as a complete forward. I talked about this last episode, but just to kind of go over it, I guess, again in a little more detail. Although it says he's awful at complete forward, when you actually look at how many attributes he has over 10 for this role, I mean, there's only 3 that are below 10. Those are finishing, long shots, and work rate. At this level, probably 12 or 13 is considered reasonably good for a specific, attribute element. So with this guy, the fact he's got so many in a role that requires so much completeness, I'm pretty happy with. I don't really look at attributes for a certain role. Obviously, I like finishing in my strikers, in my wingers. I like to have some pace a lot of the time. But ultimately, I'm always just looking at how well a player fits their role. And especially when it comes to younger players, the things I put a lot of stake in are mental and physical attributes. Technicals are fairly easy to improve with training. You can really tailor them based on the role that you train the player in. Whereas for me personally, physicals are a lot more difficult to improve. If a player's not fast, he's not necessarily going to become super rapid overnight. That said, over the course of, say, 5 or 6 years of speed training, you will see a notable improvement a lot of the time with a player's pace, but it's slow going. And especially when it comes to something like jumping reach, a player kind of just jumps as high as he can jump. There's no science there that's going to suddenly make a 5'8" centre-back jump as high as a 6'3" centre-back. It's just not how it's going to work. So for me, physicals I put a lot of value in, especially with younger players, and also mentals. Mentals are something that I kind of look in no matter who the player is. If we just look here at my team profile view, these mentals here, there's actually one cut off the end. Can I get it to squeeze in? If you've never used custom views in FM, you don't know how finicky this is. It's so easy just to break everything when you start moving columns. But I really like having determination, work rate, teamwork, concentration, and decisions. These are 5 that I'll look for in players regularly. They're not the be-all or end-all for me, particularly at this point. If I'm managing a massive club, I put a bit more kind of high stake in them. I can't really be a chooser at this point, especially when it comes to mentals. But you can see here just across the board, determination is something that we do definitely have in our team. Right now you can see actually with the filters I've got set up, we've got the reserve and under 20 shown. So if I just untick that, you can see here, determination is something I do really, really like in my players. As with a lot of hidden kind of mental based attributes, stuff like personality-related things like professionalism, determination, ambition. Those can be inherited from other players in the squad. So it's important to have some players who are on the upper end of things, especially when it comes to something visible like determination, because their personality will kind of be passed on to other players in the team, and so it can naturally rise over time. So yeah, you can see here, these are 5 things I put a lot of value in. Determination does play a role in player development in terms of how hard they train, but also just in matches in general. Determination is very important for making comebacks. Work rate, I guess in my current system, isn't quite so important. If you're playing a really high pressing system or a system that requires your players to do a lot of running, work rate obviously is going to be essential. And the same if it's a role, for example, the wing-back positions, you probably want to have a player with pretty good work rate. So you can see here, for example, we've got Tilney with 13 work rate and Neco Williams today who's going to be playing with 11. So that's okay for this level. And then in my centre mids as well, Ryan Newell and Romario Vieira have very, very good work rate. I need that in this system because they've got a lot of ground to cover between them. They're 2 fairly mobile players and, well, they are going to be doing a lot of running and they are kind of fairly naturally fit. So that's kind of a big help there. I've now lost, as I said about losing stuff, and now I've broken it all. Send help. If you've never used custom views in FM, this is like my feature request for next year's FM is just fix these views. Please. I don't ask for much. But I guess I can just scroll to the side here just to show them. But you can see here, teamwork kind of speaks for itself in a high passing system. Teamwork is good. Of all of these kind of elements, it's probably the one that we're lacking the most at the moment, but hopefully we can improve it over time. Concentration, again, isn't so great, and neither is decisions. Of course, we have such a young squad. Mentals are always going to be a little bit lower. I talked about the fact, obviously, you can't really improve physicals, and technicals are the thing that I look at as something with room for improvement. Mentals will improve, but it very much comes with player experience over time. When we have such a young squad like we do here, I mean, look how young our players are, really. There are not many players now on the older side of things. Stuff like concentration, decision, and even teamwork, they're never going to be great to begin with. Obviously, over time, you hope that players mature, they become better in those elements of their game. But it's kind of a gap, I guess, that I have to accept that we have, at least in the immediate future. Anyway, I've talked about a few of the things that were mentioned. People had a few other things, so I apologise if I didn't get to your questions, but I hope there was some useful stuff covered there. Obviously, this has already gone on for 15 minutes, so apparently me rambling it goes surprisingly quickly. I'm going to be honest, I did not realise that I talked for that long. The more I think about it, I actually think I am going to stick with a complete forward on support. I know it's not Lyon's best position, but you can see here, in terms of the role itself, he's okay there. Lyons is kind of just a very good, flexible player who's very well-rounded, but as a complete forward, he's really not that bad. 12 vision, 10 passing, he can be quite a good creative outlet. He's got good mentals as well, which is very nice. And his physicals, at least in terms of his mobility, are reasonable, and his work rate means he's going to cover the ground required of him in this system. Anyway, the game today is Ballymena United. It's in the Northern Ireland League Cup. You can see here Cliftonville v Ballina Mallard United is the other game, and this is kind of a big one because it's a big important competition as far as I'm concerned. We are the current holders. Going into this game, a little bit of team news. I've had to rest both McDermott and also our left back, so Tilney's going to come in. We've just got a general lack of fitness at the moment. You can see Mandanda also not starting today. On the bench we've got, you can see here, McGrath, Stewart, Mandanda, Simmons and O'Connor. So a few changes in the final third. Glatzel's going to get the start. O'Donnell is going to play that attacking midfielder role for us. Phoenix Patterson out on the left too. And well, let's see how we get on going into today's game. I expect us to win it. Last time we met Ballymena, I don't think we were playing the new system and we ended up drawing with them 2-2. If I remember correctly, that result might have even been the one that spurred me on to make the tactical change. But yeah, unfortunately this game just coming 3 games after the previous matches. It's just a problem. You could see there actually there was a news item about a goalkeeper I was looking at. That's one more thing I actually want to talk about before the game starts. Can we get out? I paused the game and it didn't pause. Thank you. There's a player I'm looking at signing. I talked about last episode actually how I didn't feel like our goalkeeper was a long-term solution. I might have found the long-term solution. I want to know your guys' thoughts. I'm looking at this guy, Craig Bradley. I'm going to scout him a lot more before I pull the trigger. But I really like the look of this guy. It's a goalkeeper. He's only 18 years old. He's the Northern Ireland under-21 goalkeeper right now. My scouts like him a reasonable amount. They think he's got potential. I'm going to scout him further. The board actually gave me a bit more transfer money. I can't believe I forgot to talk about this. If we just scroll down, it wasn't that far long ago. Yeah, you can see here the board increased the transfer budget by a notable amount, although it said they increased it from 180k to 70. I swear that our transfer budget was already at like 500k, so I'm a little bit confused by that. But regardless, we've got some money to spend and some excess wage budget. And I'm looking at Craig Bradley, who currently plays for Reading. And I'm kind of thinking he might be the long-term goalkeeping option for us. I'm going to scout him further. As you can see, we're still scouting him in progress. So I'll probably delay the transfer if it wants to go through. The big kicker here is 400,000. Yes, I know, guys. I know. It's a lot of money. It's a hell of a lot of money. But if we just look here, in terms of goalkeeper talent, I'm not overly convinced by the keepers that we've got. I mean, we've got some with potentially. I guess Ali Cowan, maybe I should be putting more faith in. He's capped at under 19 level. But I just compare him to Craig Bradley. Craig Bradley just better shot stopping, naturally better in the physicals and mentals, which just aren't going to improve, I don't think, for Ali. Ali is better aerially, but his distribution is lacking. And there's 6 months age difference. I just don't know if Ali's going to improve enough. I'm torn. Chat, what would you do? I'm not on Twitch. Not at the moment, at least. But no, that was just a little thing I felt like was talking about. So yes, maybe sign him. I don't know. Craig Bradley, what would you do? Would you sign him 400k? Is it too much? It is too much. But he is also the Northern Ireland under-21 goalkeeper, and he might be the best keeper in the future. I have to put stock, I guess, and trust the fact that Northern Ireland's international staff know what they're doing when it comes to picking their team, which, I don't know, is that risky? Maybe a little. I feel like we need to scout them a little bit more before we can make a definitive decision, but given the fact we've just been given an increased transfer budget, I am weighing it up. Oh my gosh, Romario Vieira probably should have passed to Bradley Lyons then. There was a chance, just a nice, simple ball off to the right, and instead he's just blasted it over the bar. We've got a chance here, maybe. Vieira hits it. Okay, I take it all back. What a goal that is. He bent it like Beckham. Edge of the box, maybe 25 yards out. Into the bottom corner. McLeany with the assist. Newell dinks the ball in. Headed away. McLeany just lays off. Goes, have a go, Romario. And he just caresses it. Finesse shots OP. Keeper maybe got caught offsided a little. I'm not going to complain one little bit. And, well, we take the lead in this semi-final. It's a big game for us. I want to win all the silverware we can, obviously. We've already wrapped up the County Antrim Shield, but that, in kind of terms of domestic trophies, is only the third most important one. As far as outside of the league, you know, we want to win the Irish Cup and this competition here. And, well, we need to defend here. Lovely stop, actually. It might have been going wide. In fact, he didn't stop it at all. The woodwork saved us. I think the keeper did have it covered, to be fair, to Jared Thompson. But maybe a little bit of a warning sign there. Ballymena bring the ball forward. Lamont to Morton out on this right side. Dinks it in. And, well, Shevlin scores, I should say. To make it 1-1 here. Not ideal. Not ideal at all. You can see we had a pretty clear back four here, but just the left winger caught a little too high up the pitch, perhaps. Just not tracking back. I wonder with the system if we could just move Patterson deeper. Can Patterson even play left mid? I don't think he can. He can unconvincingly. That might be worth keeping an eye on, actually, just how well he picks up his man coming back. But obviously, as I said, with the tactical system, as I mentioned last episode, I'm going with what we used last year as a base, but things will just change, I think, over the course of time. Oh my gosh, Newell, what a free kick effort that was. Narrowly wide of the mark. Maybe keeper had it covered, but half an hour gone. We've been the team on top in this game, but we've not been super dominant with it. I guess 62% of the ball is worth being proud of. I feel like we should go a little more attacking here. Another set piece. Newell dips it back post. Glatzel's there. Lovely finish by him. Lovely, lovely finish. Ryan Newell with the assist on set piece duty today. Maybe you should double check our set piece takers now I think about it. Just because we've changed the starting 11 quite a lot. Obviously, Eagles was our set piece specialist with Mandanda not in the squad today. It might have just kind of defaulted to Newell. I mean, you'd have to say with a ball of quality like that, maybe he should continue to be on set piece duty. Glatzel, though, lovely little header actually, a tight angle. Keeper maybe will feel disappointed to be beaten at the near post, but I feel like we probably deserved that goal there. And actually, since we've gone on attacking, we've looked a little bit better. Right, I'm happy with the performance so far, boys. Maybe a little bit of a risk that complacently kind of creeps in now that I've told the players I'm happy, but I expect a professional performance from us here. But that's not good. Neco Williams injured again. Really, really concerning that, actually. You can see here he's had so many injuries since he came to us. You can see twisted ankle, pulled wrist ligaments. Was out for 5 weeks previously with that twisted ankle. Hopefully it's nothing too serious here, although the fact he wasn't able to play through it is a little concerning. Maybe a chance for us here. McDermott, since we've gone on attacking, we've definitely created more. Can we score more? Have another go, Romario. Lays off to O'Donnell. Lovely finish by him. Vieira with an assist and a goal to his name. I will say, actually, Romario Vieira, he has been improving a hell of a lot this year. Kind of gone under the radar a little bit. He found himself out of the team just a little after a short-term injury a couple of months ago. But since he's come back into the team, he's been very, very good for us. Playing that box-to-box midfielder role for us today instead of the Mazzala. And at least so far, it seems to be working for us. 3-1 up, looking very good here. Ballymena are one of the big dogs in the Northern Ireland League right now, you'd have to say. I'm not sure if they're quite like that in real life, but here and now they're doing well. O'Donnell wants another, gets another. Third goal of the season for him, a really nice composed finish. Just kind of tucked it away into that bottom corner. We've had 0 clear-cut chances and 0 half chances, but we've scored 4. Just a long shot masterclass today. Headed away, but only as far as O'Donnell. 1 touch, 2 touch, out of his feet with the third. Keeper caught, maybe a little off-sighted again. 4-1 after an hour. That is going to be all she wrote for this game. Maybe I should rotate the team a little bit. Lyons hasn't had the greatest of games. We'll bring in O'Connor for him. I'll tell you what, I'll give Thomas Stewart some game time as well for Glatzel. Just because Stewart has been complaining about lack of first-team football. Of course, Stewart and McDade, our strike force of last year, both with contracts running out at the end of this year, probably not going to renew them just because of the way things are working out with our young striking talent. But, you know, I want to keep them as happy as I can, or at least try to. McDade, I'm not really succeeding with. But Stewart, I want to, you know, treat him well. And while O'Donnell wants another, that would have been for the hat-trick of long shots. I would have been very impressed. Unfortunately, it goes blazing over the crossbar in the end. 10 minutes left in this game. We still have 1 sub. Let's make... Oh, no, we don't, of course, because of the injury. I take it all back. I was going to say let's bring on McNewell, but I'll take Newell off. But we won't. Oh, O'Sheen. What a stop that is by the keeper. Apparently that hit the crossbar again. We've hit the crossbar twice in this game. I've seen a few crossbars hit here where I'm convinced that the keeper's touched it, but apparently not. You can see a bit of an act of desperation. They've gone to 3 strikers, but it's too little too late. 20 seconds left in this game. Maybe one last shot. Maybe no, not with passes like that from Phoenix. It's going to finish 4-1 here, though. That is a very, very good result for us, because Ballymena, they caused us problems last time. Didn't necessarily create the most chances in the world, but you can't really complain when you score 4. And we go marching on to the final, which I'm not sure when it's going to be drawn. Maybe we can have a look at that. We win in the semi-final. What's going on in the other semi? Oh, actually, let's have a look here. Neko Williams, I'm not even going to inject. Does anyone ever inject their players? I guess if it's the last game of the season, you might, you know, choose to give your players injections, but I feel like for the most part you don't. We've got Cliftonville in the final. Of course, we lost to them last episode 1-0, so that might turn into a bit of a grudge match for us there. I'm not sure when that final is going to be. Has it been scheduled just yet? It has. It's going to be right towards the end of the year. So, well, I say the end of the year, towards mid-February, of course. The league splits after, I think, 33 league games. So we're kind of looking a little further ahead here. You can see this December period is going to be very, very busy for us. November's been pretty busy. Pretty happy with how things have gone as well. Only 1 defeat in 7. But you consider that the previous month we only managed to win 2 games and neither of them were in the league. It's been a good little bounce back since we've changed tactical systems. But we'll have to see how we get on. In terms of when we'll be back, I'm looking ahead to the league games here. Crusaders are in 4th, Ballymena in 3rd. They're kind of 2 big games. Glentoran did beat us last time out, and given the fact we've done a few games against Crusaders and Ballymena before, maybe we'll come back for the Glentoran game, or maybe we'll come back for... We'll see how... I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll see how Ballymena and Crusaders get on. I feel like we'll come back for one of those 2 games, depending on which team is looking most likely to be a big rival for us when it comes to the league. I'm conscious of the fact we've done quite a lot of live comms already this year, and with us in a few cup competitions yet, there could be a few more coming towards the end of the season, particularly given how tight the league is as well at the top. It's unbelievably close right now. But yes, hopefully you've enjoyed today's video. Slightly ramblier one. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like. If you've got any comments, questions, anything to say in regards to anything covered in today's video, please do let me know it down in the comments. And other than that, it is me, Jack, and I will talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.